Afternoon to all. I, Shivam Agrawal, welcome you all in this GST session organized by CIRC of ICAI. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, C. Rajendra Kumar sir, Chairman GST and Indirect Tax Committee ICAI, who will give this seminar on industry-specific analysis. I would like to welcome today's speaker, Sri Jatin Harjai sir, who is an expert on GST. I would like to thank CIRC Managing Committee member for giving me this opportunity to become part of the session. Now, I would like to request C. Kishore Baradia sir to address us all.
Thank you. Thank you, Shivam bhai. Respected Chairman of GST Committee, C.A. Rajendra Kumar V. Chitle sir. Today's Speaker of the session, C.A. Jatin Harjai ji. My co-colleague, C.A. Anil Kumar Yadav, Regional Council Member. Secretary of the CIRC, C.A. Lokesh Maheshwari ji, and members who joined with this seminar. I heartily welcome you all. And friends, as we all know कि जीएसटी को आए 5 वर्ष हो गए हैं या होने जा रहे हैं 1 तारीख से, और हमने देखा कि इन 5 सालों में भी हम अभी भी यंग हैं और अभी भी हम शायद वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस में हैं। जिस पर्पस से जीएसटी एक्ट लागू किया गया था, उसका कितना वो पर्पस अभी तक हम सॉल्व कर पाए सरकार की नीतियों के अकॉर्डिंग, मुझे लगता है कि अभी भी कहीं ना कहीं बहुत सारे हेड अवेज हमारे साथ में आए और 2017 ऑनवर्ड्स आज भी हम जिस स्टेज में हैं उसमें कुछ इंप्रूवमेंट के साथ में आज भी वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस में है। इस पूरे सेमिनार का पर्पस यह है कि इंडस्ट्री स्पेसिफिक 5 इयर्स जो हमारे जीएसटी को आए और क्या क्या चेंजेस हमारे इंडस्ट्री में हुए, इन 5 दिनों में हमारे जीएसटी की बैक टू बैक क्लासेस होंगी। और चूंकि आज हमारा फर्स्ट डे है जीएसटी की पाठशाला का, तो मैं बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूं हमारे स्पीकर्स का, हमारे चेयरमैन जीएसटी कमेटी का और हमारे सारे मेंबर्स का जो इस प्रोग्राम में वेबिनार के द्वारा जुड़े हुए हैं। तो बिना समय गंवाए मैं लोकेश जी से निवेदन करूंगा कि प्रोग्राम को व्यवस्थित रूप से स्टार्ट करें। थैंक यू। ओवर टू लोकेश भाई।
Over to Shivam. Shivam कर रहा है moderation आज. Over to Shivam Agrawal. Unmute Shivam. Unmute.
Mute पे हो, please unmute.
Now, I would like to welcome Jatin Harjai sir. Sir, please come and tell us about.
Excuse me. Today, C. Rajendra Kumar P. GST Chairman. I invite you sir for welcome speech. Welcome note.
Shall I speak, sir?
Yes, yes, sir. Please.
Very esteemed CEO Vice particular Anil Yadav ji, who invited me today. Very esteemed speaker, CA Jatin Harjai ji, and all other esteemed speakers who are going to join this GST की पाठशाला। मैंने अभी फिलहाल में एक पिक्चर देखी, वो पिक्चर का नाम है भूल भुलैया पार्ट 2। मुझे नहीं पता कितने लोगों ने देखी, लेकिन पिक्चर देखने के शौकीन होने के नाते मुझे 4 घंटा फ्री मिला, तो मैंने वो पिक्चर देख ली थिएटर में जाके। उस पिक्चर में एक सीन आता है, वो सीन ऐसा है कि किसी की मौत हो चुकी है, तो सब लोग शोक में बैठे हैं। तो इतने में एक कैरेक्टर दौड़ के आता है, राजपाल यादव जी का कैरेक्टर है, वो दौड़ के आता है, वो जोर जोर से बोल के आता है कि अनर्थ हो गया, अनर्थ हो गया, अनर्थ हो गया करके। और वो जो पंडित है, जो वहां पे शोक सभा का जो कोऑर्डिनेशन कर रहा है पंडित, वो बोलता है बर्थ हो गया। क्या बर्थ हो गया? यहाँ तो डेथ हो गया। मतलब कम्युनिकेशन गैप, सुनने का गैप, अंडरस्टैंडिंग गैप हर इंसान में है। जीएसटी भी कोई उसके परे नहीं है। जो हरजाई जी जितना समझते हैं शायद उससे कम मैं समझता हूँ, उससे ज्यादा कुछ लोग समझते हैं। तो जीएसटी का जो ये टॉपिक है वो इंटरप्रिटेशन इश्यूज, सुनने में समझने में कितना फर्क है, और जीएसटी ऐसा ही रहेगा। बहुत से किस्से हुए, बहुत सी बातें हुई, बहुत से डिस्कशंस हुए। फिलहाल में जीएसटी कमेटी जो है वो अपने काम पे अड़ी रही। हमने इस साल ये तय किया कि हम सारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स को सक्षम करेंगे, उनके लिए पाठशाला बनाएंगे और उनको स्टूडेंट्स बना के हमारी पाठशाला में हम उनको बुलाएंगे। मध्य प्रदेश में, उड़ीसा में और बिहार में हमने सारे जीएसटी ऑफिसर्स को ट्रेन किया। आज मैं जयपुर में हूँ, जयपुर एयरपोर्ट में बैठा हूँ, मैं चंडीगढ़ रवाना हो रहा हूँ। जयपुर में हमने मुलाकात करी जयपुर के कमिश्नर रवि कुमार जी से, जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ राजस्थान के कमिश्नर एसजीएसटी हैं, और उनसे हमारी मुलाकात बहुत अच्छी हुई। बहुत ही भेंटदायक मुलाकात थी वो। और हमने और ऑफिसर्स ने यही तय किया कि हम जो है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ राजस्थान के जितने भी एसजीएसटी ऑफिसर हैं उनको सक्षम बनाएंगे, उनको अपनी कार्यालय में बुलाएंगे। गवर्नमेंट के साथ ये प्रोग्राम होगा, ऐसा नहीं कि इंस्टीट्यूट चल के बनाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं है। तो जहां पर भी हुआ वहां पे कमिश्नर या डेप्यूटी चीफ मिनिस्टर ऐसे लोग आए। और डेप्यूटी चीफ मिनिस्टर ऐसे गणमाननीय व्यक्ति आए हमारे इनॉग्रेशन के लिए। लेकिन क्या होता है ना दोस्तों, जीएसटी आज सारे देश में अगर कोई समझ सकता है, कोई उसका डिस्कशन कर सकते हैं, और जीएसटी को इतनी दूर तक अगर कोई लेके आया है तो ये चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ही है। आए दिन चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स के बारे में अखबार में कुछ छपता है, व्हाट्सएप में कुछ आता है, लेकिन एक चीज ध्यान रखिए आप, जो भी पेड़ फल देता है उस पे छोटे छोटे बच्चे पत्थर मारते हैं, बड़े लोग पत्थर नहीं मारते हैं, छोटे छोटे बच्चे ही पत्थर मारते हैं, ताकि उनको वो फल चाहिए, उनको वो फल चाहिए। तो ये समझ के चलो कि जो भी पत्थर मारते हैं हमारे ऊपर वो बच्चे हैं, उनको नादान समझ के उनको माफ कर दो। वो क्या है ना, एक बार पंजाब के जो सिखों के सरदार थे रंजीत सिंह जी, उनकी सवारी जा रही थी एक शहर से दूसरे शहर। तो उस सवारी में किसी ने कोई एक पत्थर आके महाराजा के इधर इधर लगा, एक पत्थर। तो इतने में सिपाही लोग ढूंढने लगे महाराजा के ऊपर पत्थर मारने की जरूरत किसने की, ये कौन है जिसने महाराजा के ऊपर पत्थर मारा। तो किसी ने देखा वहां पे एक बुढ़िया जो है उसने पत्थर मारा है महाराजा के ऊपर। तो उसको लेके आए, महाराजा रंजीत सिंह जी के सामने उसको खड़ा किया कि बताओ महाराज को, तो तुमने महाराज के ऊपर पत्थर क्यों मारा। तो उस बुढ़िया ने जवाब दिया, मैंने महाराज के ऊपर पत्थर नहीं मारा, वहां पे एक पेड़ था, पेड़ पे आम थे और मुझे आम चाहिए था, इसके लिए मैंने पत्थर मारा। बस ये कोइंसिडेंस है कि जैसे ही मैंने पत्थर फेंका महाराजा की सवारी मेरे और पेड़ के बीच में आ गई। तो मेरा कोई उद्देश्य नहीं था महाराजा के ऊपर पत्थर मारने का। महाराजा बहुत खुश हुए ये जवाब सुन के, और उस बुढ़िया को महाराजा ने 1000 सोने की अशरफियां जो दे दी उनको उपहार के तौर पे। तो महाराज के मंत्री पूछे, महाराज इसने तो पत्थर मारा है, आपको 1000 अशरफियां दे रहे हैं। तो महाराजा ने बोला, देखो वो पेड़ जो खड़ा है, वो पेड़ एकदम स्थिर खड़ा है, उस पेड़ में जान नहीं है, जान है लेकिन पेड़ बोल नहीं सकता, पेड़ सुन नहीं सकता। फिर भी जब कोई पत्थर मारता है तो वो पेड़ फल देता है। मैं फिर भी महाराज हूँ। मैं बोल सकता हूँ, मैं सुन सकता हूँ, मैं चल सकता हूँ, मैं भावनाओं को समझ सकता हूँ। जब एक पेड़ फल दे सकता है तो मेरे ऊपर कोई पत्थर मारे तो क्या मैं महाराज अशरफा नहीं दे सकता? हम चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट लोग जो है वो महाराजा रंजीत सिंह है। महाराजा रंजीत सिंह है हम लोग। हमारे ऊपर कोई भी पत्थर गिरेगा तो हमको यही समझना चाहिए कि हम सामने वाले को अशरफियां दे, अशरफियां के तौर पे हम उनको नॉलेज बांटें। जतिन हरजाई की जैसे महान स्पीकर्स को लेके आए, उनको समझाएं कि भाई क्या है क्या नहीं, तब जाके हमारा जो हमारे हमारे हमको इंस्टीट्यूट को बनाने में जो गवर्नमेंट का उद्देश्य है वो पूरा होगा। दोस्तों, मैं बहुत खुश हूँ। मैं ट्रैवल में था, अभी यादव जी का फोन है, सर आप कहाँ हैं? मैं बोला सर मुझे सिर्फ 5 मिनट दीजिए, मैं आ गया हूँ एयरपोर्ट। मेरी फ्लाइट में अभी 2 घंटे हैं, लेकिन मैं एयरपोर्ट आ गया ताकि मैं बरोबर कनेक्ट कर सकूँ आप लोगों से। CIRC जो है एक बहुत ही एक्टिव रीजन है। मुझे अपनापन महसूस होता है यहाँ आके। राजस्थान जो है मेरी माता पिता की भूमि है, मेरी भी भूमि है, मेरी भी धरती है। ठीक है, चेन्नई में पला बड़ा हूँ, लेकिन जब भी राजस्थान आता हूँ तो एक अपनापन मिलता है। माता जी के दर्शन के लिए आते हैं हम लोग। और CIRC जो है वो भी मेरी एक रीजन के तौर पे मैं समझता हूँ। इतने अच्छे अच्छे मित्र है मेरे यहाँ पे, बहुत ही। जितने भी सेंट्रल काउंसिल मेंबर्स है सारे मेरे अच्छे दोस्त हैं। और जब भी CIRC ने मुझे बुलाया, चाहे वो फिजिकल हो चाहे वो वर्चुअल हो, मैंने आज तक न मना किया है और न आगे भी करूंगा। बस आप ये कार्यशाला, ये पाठशाला, ये नॉलेज बांटने का जो आपका ये प्रोग्राम्स है उसको चलाते रहिए। बस हाथ से हाथ मिलाकर चलते रहिए। मंजिल जो है, मंजिल दूर नहीं है। एक्चुअली मंजिल ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं। जहां भी आप रुके बस वो एक रेस्ट हाउस समझ लीजिएगा। नॉलेज हैज गॉट नो बैरियर्स, देयर इज नो होराइजन एक्सेट्रा। नॉलेज इज टोटली it's wider than the ocean, let me tell you friends. With these few words, I congratulate the organizers for organizing this very useful program and making learning compulsory for all of you. मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा बोल गया। मैं क्यों बोला इसके लिए भी, इसके पीछे भी एक कारण है। इसके पीछे क्या कारण है कि जब इनॉग्रेशन होता है लोग लॉग इन जल्दी नहीं करते, बोलते कोई आएगा 10 मिनट अपना सर खाएगा। हम तो सुनने के आए हैं जतिन हरजाई जी को, हम 10 मिनट 15 मिनट के बाद आते हैं। अब जतिन हरजाई जी, मैं आपको अटेंडेंस दे रहा हूँ 157। जब मैं शुरू किया 100 से भी नीचे था अटेंडेंस, अब और 100 लोग ऐड हो गए हैं। तो आपको सुनने के लिए बहुत लोग उत्सुक हैं और मैं मेरे अपने शब्दों को यही विराम देता हूँ और आप सब लोगों को पुनः बधाइयां देता हूँ। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद। योगा दिवस की आपको सब हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, राजेंद्र सर, इतना अच्छा मार्गदर्शन करने के लिए. Now I would like to invite Sri Jatin Harjai sir or tell us about our today's topic.
First of all, Rajendra Kumar Sahab, CCM and Chairman IDTC, Kishore ji, Anil ji, Kuldeep ji, Shivam ji, Lokesh ji, all the members, all the listeners, a very good afternoon to all of you. So as we have seen, our Chairman IDT Committee, Shri Rajendra Kumar ji has already spoken with his words of wisdom, and he has deliberated very nicely, within a very, very lighter manner. He has conveyed the messages, maybe through Bhul Bhulaiya or maybe through other ways. Since it was started with a Bollywood movie, I also just wanted to share one small, we can say, correlation of our GST, which is going to complete 5 years. So since we are at the verge of 5 years, and one of the very historical movie, each and every one must have watched that, Sholay. It's going to complete 50 years.
सर मैंने 20 बार देखी सर।
so sir ne 20 baar, I'm sure each and every one of us must have watched it for multiple times. Even our parents has watched it, no doubt about it. and our next generation will also. So that's a classic movie which is going to complete 50 years now. Very soon it will complete 50 years. उसमें एक बड़ा फेमस डायलॉग था सर, ये हाथ मुझे दे दे ठाकुर. So when we see a correlation with GST, I'm sure many of us will
बहुत
modify
जान है इन हाथों में, बहुत
will
जान है इन
modify-
हाथों में.
बहुत
ये
जान।
हाथ,
तो
ये
ये
हाथ
हाथ मुझे
हमें
दे
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 ठाकुर, हमें दे ठाकुर. ये डाल, ये हाथ हमें दे ठाकुर.
Very good. So many of us will correlate this particular dialogue in GST as well. So maybe at the end of the session, I'll try how I correlated. By that time, the participants may guess how to correlate it with GST, this particular dialogue. Now let's start our technical session. Just let me share the screen.
सर मैं थोड़ा एयरपोर्ट में हूँ, तो I'll log out. I'll come back to you again later.
Highly obliged that you came here. You have given your words, and in a very simplified manner, you have explained that how you're going to coordinate with the state governments as well. I'm sure that all of these efforts will definitely streamline the GST, will be beneficial for profession and professionals as well. With this, thank you.
मुझे इतना विश्वास है सर, इस कार्यक्रम के बाद, इस स्पीच के बाद सब लोग बोलेंगे, ये नॉलेज हमें दो जतिन, ये नॉलेज हमें दो.
धन्यवाद. Okay. So first of all, I congratulate CIRC for this wonderful program. See, I think all other sessions, or maybe 4 or 5 other sessions are there on a industry specific. This is the only one which is somehow a topic which is very significant on, we can say, nowadays, but not very much industry specific. Each and every industry is facing the issues. Many a time we are facing with the scrutiny, many a time we are facing with the departmental audit, inspection, search and seizure. Scrutiny notices and audits we are handling in the pre-GST regime as well. In fact, search and seizure operations were also being handled, but now they are being geared up like anything. So we have chosen this topic, and with the sole objective that how the professionals should maybe gear up themselves. कि search and seizure को कैसे handle करना है, that this is what the objective, जो कि next 1 hour, approximately 1 hour 20 minutes, 40 minutes में I'll try to unveil this. Before I come on the legal provisions which are there under the GST law, I would like to touch upon some of the constitutional provisions. I'm sure each and every one of you are well aware with this, but just to touch up so that we just recollect that. And because whosoever are my young friends are there, I'm sure most of them were keen to make their core area of practice as GST. If you are going to handle these inspection search seizure cases, they are altogether different kitty, and you have to geared up with so many attributes which are different from how you are going to handle scrutiny and audits. See, couple of things. Let's start from Article 265. Article 265 of the Constitution of India reads like, no tax shall be levied or collected otherwise than by way of authority of law. This is how the Article 265 reads. We understand what the levy is. Whenever we are talking about levy from the constitutional point of view, that means what is the taxable incidence and how it is going to be computed. This is what the taxable, if I talk from the GST point of view, that there is a taxable event is a supply of goods or services, intrastate or interstate. Then there is a computation mechanism, which is this is what the rate to be applied on a particular value. This much of the input tax credit will be eligible, and this will be the balance amount which is to be paid in cash or maybe through the credit ledger. This is what the whole levy. Now, collection. Let me remind, there are two specific and separate words are being used in this particular article. No tax shall be levied or collected otherwise than by way of authority of law. So legal authority has to be there for collection and for levy both, not only for levy. So even the collection cannot happen without a particular levy, without a valid law backing. That's most important aspect which one should keep in mind. Then citizens of the country are given some of the fundamental rights, right of freedom to travel throughout the territory of India, to practice any kind of trade or profession or a business. These two type of very, very specific freedoms are given to all the citizens. And each and every person, please mind, when I was talking about free movement and free profession or a trade, I was talking about citizens. But even otherwise, if you are not a citizen of India, then also every person who is there in India cannot be deprived of his life and personal liberty, except according to the procedure established by the law. So these are some of the core aspects of the constitution. One, you can freely move. Number two, you can freely do your own business. Number three, the personal liberty cannot be compromised. When I talk about personal liberty, it includes not only living, not only right to live, rather right to live with dignity. Even right to privacy is also enshrined into it as per the plethora of Supreme Court judgments. So even right to privacy is a fundamental right. Please keep it in mind. Why I'm sharing each and every article with you, I'll correlate it with whenever at a relevant point of time when I'll be doing a specific points. Then our constitution article 300A says no person shall be deprived of his property otherwise than by way of authority of law. So precisely, if you are having any cash, if you are having any bank balance, if you are having any debtors, if you are having any asset, land and building, plant and machinery, until unless the law prescribes a way, no one can take it. Please mind, that's very important. So everything, if you are compromising, if any taxpayer or any person is being barred for movement, for carrying out of any profession, or his privacy is being compromised, or his assets are going to be compromised, then this process cannot be by otherwise than by way of legal procedure. If it is so, then it is a violation of the fundamental or a constitutional right which is given to any taxpayer, maybe under Article 300A or the fundamental right under Part 3 of the Constitution of India. Whenever search is there, we all know the authorities normally bar movement of the persons who are within the premises. So there is a check on them. Number two, somehow their business gets compromised. Number three, as per settled preposition, search is being treated as an intrusion in the privacy. In a Lord Simon's words, a house is being treated as a castle of a person. So that means if you are entering in the house of any other person against his will, that is nothing but an intrusion in his privacy. So directly breach of the constitutional right, and if it is not backed by a correct provisions, correct legal provisions, that is invalid action. These things we should keep in mind. One more aspect, then I'll come to the legal provisions of the GST. See, whenever we are going to deal search and seizure type of things, these are cases we are going to deal. Please mind, one cannot deal the action of the Department of Search and Seizure only and only by reading GST law. GST law is must. You must be well aware with all the provisions of the GST law, at least relevant provisions, I would say. But more important is that you are well aware with the provisions which are otherwise applicable to these kind of proceedings. For example, CRPC. Criminal Procedure Code. Please mind, Section 67, subsection 10 specifically refers that when the search is being conducted, CRPC provisions will apply. That how the search is to be conducted. If you refer CRPC, Section 93 onwards deal with the CRPC things. Similarly, CPC, Code of Civil Procedures. Please read Section 70. You will agree with me, whenever search is there, most of the time these people record the statements by issue of the summon under Section 70. And you read Section 70, subsection 1 itself. It says that the proceedings shall be governed by the Code of Civil Procedures. The proper office who is issuing it will be treated as a magistrate as per the provisions of Section 70. And proceedings shall be deemed to be a judicial proceedings, and all the provisions of CPC shall apply there. Again, relevant provisions, so many relevant provisions, 26, 27, Schedule 5, so many things are there as far as summons are concerned, whenever it is, or the statements are being recorded during such proceedings. Similarly, IPC is also important, Indian Penal Code. Similarly, evidence law, whenever particular provisions are required, I'll come to those particular specific provisions at an appropriate point of time. But please mind, whenever you are going to deal search and seizure, you must be reasonably aware with CPC, CRPC, IPC, and evidence law, apart from GST law. So this is what our basic contention. This is what I thought I'll go ahead with, though we all may agree with this, that GST law is not like this search and seizure under GST cannot be covered in maybe 1 hour or 2 hours time. It may need a whole day at least to discuss each and every aspect of it. But even then, how I tried to carry on this particular session is, first of all, I'll just touch upon some core legal provisions which are there under GST. Provisions of the other statute, maybe CPC, CRPC, IPC evidence, whenever required, I'll take them up. And the biggest issue of searches under the GST law is recovery. A recovery which happens on spot. Then maybe provisional attachment. At the time of search, we have seen so many times the provisional attachment order has been passed. And now recently we have seen cash are being seized by the department. So can cash be seized by the GST department? This is another aspect which we will deal in. Summons, and more important, what happened when we get our client, when we get to know that the search has happened. Client tell us maybe immediately after the search, maybe after 30, 60 days time, 1 month, 2 months time, that search has happened, and he says, okay, my forcefully my statement got recorded, and some kind of things like these are being admitted. These things are being admitted by us. Like maybe under a forceful manner, they have said, no, you will have to admit that this input tax credit is being taken without actually receipt of goods or services. Kind of thing, this kind of a statement is there, which has been recorded. Maybe at times, we have recently seen that the statement are okay. The statement which they have written forcefully department got is, we have taken this credit against the provisions of law. This kind of, even the statements are there without anything more being specific. So these are the couple of things which I wanted to cover. Apart from this, some of the issues. So many times we see that the loose papers are being seized under the GS by the authorities. Some loose documents, diaries, maybe chit, maybe some other writings. Maybe at times department says, yeah, this is a kache ka hisab or kind of clandestine removal from your side, which we have, the documents which we have seen. Maybe at times a counsel wants to be present along with the authorities, whether he is permitted. Consequential search, common things nowadays. The GST officers think that, okay, once the search warrant is issued, they can go and reach at any places. So many times this has happened. Can they do so? In my humble opinion, answer is no. We'll see by the provisions. Recording of the statement on notices and summons which are being received during the by the E environment. We'll discuss all these aspects in relation to search and seizure. Let's quickly touch upon the provisions. First is inspection and search. These are two separate type of proceedings. Commonly in the income tax law, we used to say survey instead of inspection. We are saying this. We are well versed with this word survey, but the word used in the GST law is inspection. See, inspection can be authorized by the proper officer. By the proper officer, when he has reason to believe what? That a taxable person has suppressed transaction in relation to supply. Taxable person has suppressed stock of goods, or taxable person has suppressed, has claimed input tax credit in excess of his entitlement. These are the three specific points when incidences when a inspection can be authorized by the proper officer. The fourth one is a general word, general thing. I will not touch upon right now. Yeah. Let us try to diagnose each and every word which we have discussed. First of all, please mind the word mentioned here is the proper officer. Before the term proper officer, the lawmaker has specifically used the article the. What do you mean by the? Because see, each and every word is important. Each and every one is very, very important. Please refer the judgment of Honorable Supreme Court in case of Tara agencies, whereby the Honorable Supreme Court has said, excuse me, just a minute, please. Sorry. See, Honorable Supreme Court in Tara agencies has specifically said that whenever the lawmakers passes the particular law, each and every word is important. Whatever is written and whatever has not been written, both are equally important. So here, lawmakers has not written where any proper officer. They have specifically written where the proper officer. And what is the meaning of this word article the? This has been explained by the Honorable Supreme Court recently in the case of Canada India Limited. The has to be very, very specific meaning. That means a specification to a particular person or a particular thing, not to anyone. So meaning thereby, there has to be one officer only. Whereby nowadays what we are seeing is the authorization for the search is being made by the state additional commissioner, maybe at times joint, maybe commissioner, which is having an admin function. Then the other one is anti-evasion function. Similarly, in central tax, admin commissioner. Similarly, anti-evasion. Similarly, DGGI. So all are basically doing this authorization of the search. So I have a very objection starting from here itself. It cannot be each and every proper officer, or it cannot be each and every joint commissioner or a above ranked officer. There has to be one specific officer who is authorized for issuing the warrant, for authorizing the search itself. It cannot be each and every officer. One. Second, the term is being used reason to believe. Reason to believe of what we have already seen. But let us understand, or I think we all are very well aware with this word, because most of us are practicing in income tax, and income tax in context of search and seizure, and otherwise also we know the difference between reason to believe and reason to suspect. But just to, since so many young friends must be there, so just to keep each and everyone on board, reason to believe is not only a guesswork. Please mind it. Reason to believe is not only a guesswork. It has to have a rational connection. It is not only mere information. It's not just someone got some information and on the basis of that search has been conducted. No. Or the inspection is being authorized, whatever. Once you get some information, even there is a complaint, even if there is a complaint, because see what happens in market, competitors do complain for each other. This is what the business tactic so many person uses. But it is duty of the officer that whatever kind of information or other complaint is there, or whatever other maybe digitally thrown informations are there through the GSTN or some other sources, that they have to do some homework on it, and then come to a conclusion that whether actually it requires issuance of the inspection warrant or a search warrant. Reason to believe term has not been defined in the GST law, but it has been defined in the IPC section 26, whereby it has been said that reason to believe is a thing if he has sufficient cause to believe that thing only, but not otherwise. Meaning thereby, let us say I have got a complaint. Let us assume I am an officer. I'm a proper officer, for example. I have got an information in the form of a complaint from Mr. A that Mr. B is removing his goods on a clandestine basis. That means he is supplying the goods but not raising the invoice at all. Let us assume the information was very, very specific. That complaint is containing the information like, just a minute, please, excuse me. Yeah, sorry. I was giving an example that let us assume I am a proper officer. I am the proper officer. And I have got a complaint from Mr. A that Mr. B is removing his goods on a clandestine basis. That means he is selling the goods, has not been raising the invoices. And the information was that much specific that he has given the truck numbers even, and the places from where it starts and place from where the goods are being concluded. For example, he has given me the detail. In the complaint, there are details that so and so truck numbers are there. Maybe 1 to 100 truck numbers are there. How much weight is there? It is there in the complaint that, okay, 2010, 2010, 2010, or maybe 14, whatever the goods can be there in that particular vehicle. And then from where it is started, let us say one truck started movement from Jaipur, terminated at Agra. Second truck started movement from Jaipur, terminated in Kanpur, something like this. These kind of informations are available with the Joint Commissioner. Can he issue authorization under section 67, subsection 1 or subsection 2? Can he do so? And the complaint says that he has not recorded it in their books of accounts. 67.2 we'll see at a bit later stage, but can he issue the authorization under section 67, subsection 1? In my humble opinion, this is not reason to believe. This kind of complaint can be reason to suspect only. It cannot be termed as reason to believe. For terming it reason to believe, the homework has to be done by the officer. That, okay, I have received this complaint. Let me verify it. How it is to be verified? Maybe there can be a number of ways. One of the verification way could be, I'm going to check these vehicle number, the details of which are with me. I'm going to check it with the, maybe whatever the correct route is there from Jaipur to Agra, Jaipur to Kanpur, whatever route is there. I'll check the tolls which are being in between, maybe other naka, whatever there are in between, whether these number, the truck this truck has actually been passed from there or not. This can be one of the way out. And then I will check with the returns. Maybe if I get that, okay, these trucks are being passed, maybe some kind of inspection of those trucks has been done in between. Maybe if the copy of the invoices are otherwise available, I will try to correlate them with the information filed by the taxpayer in GSTR 1 or 3B, or GSTR 1 and 3B, and e-way bills which has been generated. If after correlating everything, I believe, I understand, yes, these are the vehicles, or these are the stocks, or these are the supplies are there, which have actually initiated from this place, concluded at that place, and it is a supply, and the supply transaction has been suppressed. Then actually I should authorize the inspection. Inspection under section 67 subsection 1. This is what one. This is what I have discussed, reason to believe. Now let me come to the other aspect, which is suppression. Suppress. The word which has been used for in relation to transaction or the stock is suppressed. Now what is a suppression? What is a suppression of a transaction? Let me give you an example. Because now the things has changed. See, so many times we refer our earlier laws as well, the pre-GST law. Wherever the languages are same under the pre-GST law and the GST law, most of the time we rely the judgments which were there under the pre-GST. Suppression is a term which was there under the pre-GST law and which is there under the GST law as well. But I believe there is changes. There is a change. First of all, if we talk about suppression, what is suppression? Kuch chupa dena. If I talk about the pre-GST landmark judgments, they were clear. When both the parties knows a particular thing, it cannot be said to be a suppression. When both the parties knows a particular aspect. For example, I'm running a atta mill, flour mill. And I'm filing my return, I'm GST registered. I'm filing my return as an exempted supplier. Since the day one, I'm filing my returns as an exempt supplier. We know that that flour can be, if it is a branded one, it will be a taxable commodity. If it is not branded, it is exempted item. I'm not entering which one is branded, which one is not branded to be treated, because that's altogether different issue. Point is that from the day when I'm filing the return as an exempt supplies. That means I'm treating my goods as a non-branded one. Both the parties note this thing. There's nothing new in it. Can it be said to be a suppression? Can it be said to be a suppression? In my humble opinion, answer is no. Similarly, suppression always expect a positive act towards a non-payment of taxes. Let me give another example. This example will just park it, we'll take it up once again. But let's see, there is an international trade happened. That means there is a person who's sitting at Kanpur, purchased goods from China, sold to Singapore. Goods has not touched the Indian boundaries. Now what's going to happen? This is precisely a transaction which is treated as a no supply transaction. Schedule 3 transaction, neither to be treated as a supply of goods nor supply of services. So let us say this is what the same taxpayer which was having atta mill as well and this international transaction. Now what happened? He has filed a nil transaction. Just for an example, he has filed his return as nil. He assumed that since there is no tax, why to report any transaction? He was under impression that only and only taxable transaction is supposed to be reported in the return. Maybe his mistake, his wrong understanding of the legal situation or the statutory forms. So he has declared a zero transaction, no supply, zero exempted, everything zero, nil return has been filed. Now what's going to happen? Can this be treated as a suppression? Can this be treated as a suppression? Though this fact has been known to both the parties. If this was a pre-GST regime, probably Continental Foundation judgment could help. But now under the GST regime, things are slightly changed. In the GST regime, a specific explanation has been added to provide the meaning of term suppression, which specifically defines suppression to mean non-declaration of any fact which was actually required, which was otherwise required by the taxable person to declare in the return. So let us assume you are having a exempted turnover on which no tax is payable, not at all. But you are supposed to declare it into the return. Is it a suppression? Under the GST law, yes, it's a suppression. And this term, though mentioned in section 74, but is being defined for whole of the act. So similarly, this definition has to be taken for the purpose of section 67 as well. That means if there are some exempted supply, which was otherwise supposed to be declared, but has not been declared, can it be said to be suppression? Yes, it can be said to be suppression. But please mind and correlate it with the word suppression, which is mentioned in section 73 and section 74, which we all know. 73, 74 are the show cause notices to be issued in case of fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of fact to evade tax in case of, in that case, section 74. Otherwise, then by way of these cases, in that case, it is going to be 73. Now, please mind that this example which I have given it to you, maybe some exempted or international trade supplies, which was otherwise supposed to be declared, but has not been declared. Can a show cause notice be issued for the same under section 73, 74? Then my answer is no. Because it might be a suppression, but it cannot be termed as a suppression to evade tax. Meaning thereby there can be an inquiry, but there cannot be show cause notice for this. Try to correlate it. This is the inquiry, 67 is the inquiry proceeding, fact gathering proceedings, not the adjudication proceedings. So adjudication proceeding cannot be there for these type of running, and show cause notice cannot be there. But yes, inquiry can be there, no doubt about it. So it is being suppression. So proper officer, the proper officer, any that specified proper officer has reason to believe that suppression in regard to these inspection can be there. Now let me come to the search aspect. I think some hands has been raised here. Should we take up the queries right now? Shivamji, Shivamji or Anilji, should we take up queries right now or maybe at a later stage?
Sir, till now there is no any query.
I think I've got a message that one hand raise is there.
Sir, we can take up this now.
So I think you need to unmute then whoever raised the hand.
Let me check. Sir.
Yes, Sanjeev Bazari ji is there. Yes, Sanjeev ji. Sanjeev ji, you can ask the query. I think you have unmuted.
Sandeep ji.
Are you getting my voice?
Yes, now we can hear you.
नहीं, जैसा आपने बताया कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स हैं हर एक उसके, लेकिन जब भी कोई सर्च करने आता है या सीजर करने आता है वो इन फंडामेंटल राइट्स के बारे में कुछ नहीं सुनता है, उसको जो करना होता है वही करता है। इसके बारे में मतलब किसी भी तरीके से आप जो है फंडामेंटल राइट्स को कितना भी आप गालो या कितना भी चिल्ला लो, कोई कुछ नहीं करेगा, वो अपने इच्छा होगी जो ही करेंगे। तो क्या इसका फंडामेंटल राइट्स का कहाँ पर क्या यूज आएगा, क्या हाईकोर्ट में इनमें यूज आ सकता है क्या इसमें?
आते हैं सर, उसी के ऊपर बात करेंगे, एक एक चीज को लिंक करेंगे।
हाँ,
ओके, एनीवेज आई विल डिस्कस अबाउट इट।
ठीक है।
फाइन, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, आपका बड़ा वाजिब सी क्वेरी थी कि संजीव जी जिन्होंने बीच में रेस किया कि भाई फंडामेंटल राइट्स हम तो कह रहे हैं, लेकिन जब अथॉरिटीज आती हैं प्रीमाइसेस के ऊपर तो वो लोग वो इन चीजों को कुछ नहीं मानते, आप उनको कुछ भी कह लो। बिल्कुल ठीक है, ऐसे ही होगा, हम भी जानते हैं सब, लेकिन इसीलिए मेरे और आपके जैसे लोग यहाँ पर हैं। आई थिंक ही इज रेजिंग हिज हैंड्स अगेन, जस्ट अ मिनट। संजीव जी अगर आप बोल सकते हैं तो बताइए। संजीव जी आप बोलना चाहें तो बोलिए।
हाँ, नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं, आपका और हमारा रोल तो है, लेकिन उसको वो जब ही आएगा जबकि मतलब शुरू में तो कोई कुछ सुनेगा नहीं, बाद में ही आएगा अपना रोल।
करेक्ट, बिल्कुल ठीक है, तो मैं वही उसी पे आ रहा हूँ ना, एक बार कंप्लीट तो करने दें।
होगा वो करके चला जाएगा वो।
ठीक है,
हाँ,
ओके, करेक्ट। आपका और मेरा रोल तभी आएगा जब वो एक बार को चले जाएंगे। इमीडिएटली उस वक्त बहुत रेयर केसेस होते हैं जिसमें आता है, ऐसा नहीं है नहीं आता, उस वक्त भी आ जाता है रोल, लेकिन जब बाद में ही आता है। एनीवेज एक बार हम पूरी कर लेते हैं, तब डेफिनेटली तब लेंगे। आई थिंक क्वेश्चंस जैसा अलग 1 घंटा ही बचा है अपने पास, तो आई थिंक आई विल टेक द क्वेश्चंस एट अ लास्ट। 67(1) का मैंने आपसे बात किया इंस्पेक्शन का। नाउ लेट अस कम टू 67 सबसेक्शन 2। जब 67(2) की हम बात कर रहे हैं तो एक चीज आप नोटिस करिए, आपके स्क्रीन पर है कि ट्रांजिशन क्रेडिट आपने गलत ले लिया। आपने जो सप्लाई डिक्लेयर किया वो आपने एग्जम्प्टेड डिक्लेयर कर दिया, जबकि एज पर ओपिनियन ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट वो सप्लाई टैक्सेबल था। मे बी आपने जो रेट डिक्लेयर किया, आपने 12% की रेट से टैक्स पे किया, जबकि एज पर ओपिनियन ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट द रेट ऑफ टैक्स इज 18%. These were the reasons for which we have seen the searches in the recent past. Let us go through with the legal provisions कि क्या एक्चुअली ऐसा हो सकता है, क्या एक्चुअली इसके लिए सर्च की जा सकती है। See, legal provisions are crystal clear. Again, where the proper officer. संजीव जी, मैं एक आपका बार बार हैंड रेज आ रहा है, I'll take up the question at a later point of time. I got your point. Definitely it will be answered in my session. Don't bother about it. Where the proper officer. Again, the word is there. Single officer has to be there who is going to authorize. I'm not going to repeat that again. Has reason to believe. We have touched upon reason to believe. We've not gone in very detail, but since this is a term which has been frequently used on the other statute, so I'm not entering into great detail. So the proper officer has reason to believe what? That goods liable for confiscation, books, things, or documents are secreted, which are of some useful, which are useful or relevant for any proceedings. What? 4 things only, 4 aspects. Number 1, goods liable for confiscation, any document, any documents or anything are secreted in a place. देखिए, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है जो इस सेक्शन को डिकोड करने की जरूरत है। सर्च का ऑथराइजेशन कब हो सकता है? जब रीजन टू बिलीव हो प्रॉपर ऑफिसर को कि क्या गुड्स, डॉक्यूमेंट्स, बुक्स और थिंग्स छुपा दी गई हैं। प्लीज माइंड, दिस इज व्हाट सीक्रेटेड। यहां पर सप्रेशन नहीं है, यहां पर कोई सप्रेशन की बात नहीं है किसी भी तरीके से। सप्रेशन की जहां पर बात थी कि कम किया है या आपने कुछ छुपाया है, यानी कि कम डिक्लेयर किया है, क्या इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट ज्यादा ले लिया या आपने स्टॉक को छुपा दिया है, स्टॉक या वो ट्रांजैक्शन सप्लाई का था उसको छुपा दिया है। वो वर्ड कहां, सप्रेशन कहां पर है? सप्रेशन वर्ड है 67(1) में, इंस्पेक्शन में। 67(2) says secreted. Secreted means again छुपा दिया गया है, लेकिन किस किस चीज किसको? Documents, books, things or goods liable for confiscation. That's it. These 4 things. तो सर्च ऑथराइज हो सकती है. एंड प्लीज माइंड, सर्च का मैंडेट क्या है? सर्च का मैंडेट क्या है? He may authorize in writing any other officer of the central tax to search and seize. That's going to be very, very important. Search and seize, or may himself search and seize the goods, documents, books or things. तो जो सर्च का जो मैंडेट है वो ये है कि कोई गुड्स, डॉक्यूमेंट्स, थिंग्स या बुक्स छुपी हुई है, इस चीज का रीजन टू बिलीव है. प्लीज माइंड, रीजन टू सस्पेक्ट नहीं. रीजन टू बिलीव है कि ये चीजें छुपा दी गई हैं, तो ऑथराइजेशन प्रॉपर ऑफिसर करेगा. यू गो सर्च दोज बुक्स, डॉक्यूमेंट्स, थिंग्स और गुड्स एंड सीज देम. एंड सीज देम. First of all, please mind, it is not alternate or it is not optional that when the search is going to happen, then officer may or may not seize. Please mind, it is not an option in my humble opinion. It is a duty of the officer to seize those particular goods, documents, books or things. It is the search and seizure words are with and. And please mind, there cannot be any seizure under proceedings under section 67 subsection 1. That means if the proceedings are in the nature of inspection, no seizure. Correct. And what I am suggesting is whenever there is 67(2), there has to be seizure. There has to be seizure. Seizure has to happen. Otherwise, there is a doubt. Otherwise, there is a prima facie doubt that the recording or the issuing of the search warrant was not proper. Otherwise, this is a prima facie doubt. See what happens. Most of the time you will see there is no seizure. The moment there is no seizure, should not we think as a professional, not as a businessman. Please mind it. As a professional, shouldn't we go through this particular section and we think that means maybe the reasons are not properly recorded if there is no seizure. Number one. Simultaneously, most of the time you will see whenever there is a seizure, they will seize what? This purchase bill book, maybe sometimes those loose papers as well. I'll talk about the loose paper at a later point of time. As of now, I'm talking about validity of the search, when the search should happen and when should not. Now, this term is being used is for, as far as documents, books, things are concerned, secreted. Now, assume a place of a business or a place of residence. What you can expect at a place of business and a place of residence. If it is a place of business, you enter into an account section. Let us assume there is a different cabinets are there. First cabinet, purchase, it is mentioned there, purchase bills. Second cabinet, it is mentioned there, sales bill book. Third cabinet, this voucher. Fourth cabinet, gate pass, etc., etc. These kind of cabinets are there. And departmental team goes there. They ask for, okay, give me the purchase bill, and purchase bill is there in the purchase almirah. Give me the sale bill book is there in the sale book almirah. Can we say that this is a secreted one? Can we say this is a secreted one? In my humble opinion, answer is no. Secret actually means they are intended to conceal. They are hidden, like they are being, with the intention they are being secreted somewhere, hidden, which a normal man cannot find. By a normal working, a normal person cannot find that particular document or thing, then it can be said to be a secreted one. So if the search has happened, there is no seizure. That means somehow there is a prima facie doubt in my mind that search was not properly authorized. Number one. Number two, even if some seizure is there, but seizure is of what? Purchase bill, sales bill, etc., etc., etc. maybe some returns, etc., copy of the returns, which are otherwise furnished to the department itself, maybe annual return, maybe balance sheet. If these kind of documents are seized, can we say these are the documents which are secreted? Can we say these are the documents, books which are secreted? Again, I have prima facie doubt in my mind that search is not being properly warranted in that particular case. Number 3, you must have seen that so many times when these officers go for search, they keep trying that you just deposit the money. That's it. This is what the sole target. You just deposit the money. This is with the target. Please have a look at the provision, whether they are being authorized for this or not. Section 67, subsection 2. I am on a prima facie point. I'll discuss this particular aspect in bit detail. But from the statutory provision itself, is there any mandate? Is there any mandate they can do it? In my humble opinion, answer is absolutely no. The mandate in the search under the GST law is crystal clear. There is something which is secreted. There is some books, documents, or goods are there which are secreted. You go them, search them, and seize them. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. If there is a search, it is expected. Not more than this, not less than this. You cannot go and just harass the taxpayer. Just force the recovery. Let me touch upon another aspect. What I'm arguing before the different authorities or the courts, this is what I'm going to discuss with you only. My fundamental question, can under the GST law, statements of the taxpayer or any other person, like his employee, his manager, his wife, his relatives, can it be recorded at all? Can it be recorded? While there is an authorization of search, the proceedings of the search are going on, can statement be recorded? My answer is absolutely no. My answer is absolutely no. Why I am saying so, please have a look at this section. This is what the section whereby the authorization is there. Section 67 is there, by which the authorization is being made. And it talks about that if the goods, documents, books are secreted, then go there, search them and seize them. No other mandate, I repeat that, no other mandate is there in this particular provision. No option is there. Now, if you compare it with the income tax, please have a look at it here. Search provision under the income tax law. The authorized officers may, during the course of the search or seizure, examine on oath any person who is found to be in possession or control of this. So whether these type of authorization or the powers are given to the GST authorities under the search provision, in my humble opinion, answer is absolutely no. Examination of on oath during the search proceeding, these type of powers are not being given to the GST authorities. This is what my observation, my view. But invariably, in each and every circumstance, you must have seen that 99% cases, the GST authorities records their reasons, records their statements. How they record it? What they do is, normally, they issue a summon on the very same day. They also know that those officers are also well aware with their power. They know that they don't have the power. They know that under section 67, the powers are not there to record the statement. That is why what they do is, they issue summon under section 70 on the very same day to the very same officer, to the very same person. Many a time we have seen, okay, the summon is being issued by X officer, and they say, okay, I'm issuing the summon and come to me at my camp office on so and so date and time. That means on the very same date of the search. Now let me correlate with all these stuff. Is it legal? In my humble opinion, absolutely. It is zero. It is not. It is nullity. Why I am saying so? See, first of all, when you are doing the search exercise, you are an inquiring officer. You are an investigating officer. Fine. Undoubtedly, you are an investigating authority. You are finding the documents. You are finding some things which are hidden. You are making a case precisely. But when you are issuing a summon, you are working in a capacity of the powers are in the nature of adjudicator, adjudicating authority. Please refer again section 70, which specifically says, read them together with the CRPC and CPC provisions. And there is a very famous, you will say, Latin principle, which you will say, nemo judicia in causa sua. Prosecutor cannot be the judge. Moreover, and what happens when you are prosecuting? You are issuing the summon on the very same day to the very same person. That means you are stepping into the shoe of the adjudicator at the very same moment. At the very same moment, you are stepping into the shoe of the adjudicator. It is just like police is making the case and simultaneously giving or pronouncing the judgments or adjudication order as well. I'm getting a couple of hand raises right now, but I'll take up queries at a later stage, please, because we are running short of time. Now, what happens? And let me tell you one of the recent case which I am arguing before the Honorable High Court. What happened for the formality sake? You all know that all these things happen on a formality sake, that they just record their statement, then they just, at the time of when they are walking out, just issue the formality of the section 70. That means, okay, someone is being issued. What happened in one of the cases? In one of my case, the summon under section 70 was issued during the search, when the search was carried on. And has been said, okay, we are issuing it at 3 p.m. It is written in the summon. And rather it is written that you come to us at 3 p.m. at camp office. Camp office means your factory is my camp. And at 3 p.m. you come to me to give the statement. Fine. And in the Panchnama itself, it is written, okay, at the 10 p.m. the search has been concluded. I hope you followed me. When the search was carried on, was going on, allegedly someone was issued to the taxpayer for recording his statement, for tendering his statement at 3 p.m. on the date of search itself. This is what the summon which was saying, and actually the statement was recorded. And on the Panchnama says the search is concluded at 10 p.m. When I have checked, when I have just got checked, this DIN number which is mentioned at the summon, when we verified it, the DIN report says this summon was generated at 10:30 p.m. What does that mean? Can I say that the statement was recorded without issuing of the summon? This is what my case. This is what I am saying, that you cannot record the statement because someone is आपने बाद में issue किए, formality की है सिर्फ. एक और चीज ध्यान से सुनिए हमेशा. Even otherwise, this concept of prosecutor being the judge, which should not be, even otherwise, summons are being issued by the judicial officer for premises of a person is being searched. Can by any stretch of imagination one can argue that he was having a peaceful state of mind? In my humble opinion, answer is no. So for all practical purposes, the advice can be, advice means not at the time of search, but when you are getting ready your client, maybe pre-search, then definitely one can advise that, okay, if someone is during the search is insisting of the statement, you can very well but humbly deny the giving the statement that I am not fit to give the statement as of now. Rather request for a recording the statement at a later stage. So this is what something about some particular aspects. Now let me come to the very, very common thing about the search. Recovery is being forced. Recovery provisions are there under section 79. So when 79 talks about that when the amount is payable, this mode, the recovery can happen. Maybe recovery directly from the bank, debtors, other property, etc., etc. But please mind, recovery section 79 comes into picture when there is any amount payable. When any amount is payable. Not before this. Not before this. See, one thing which we need to understand very clearly, that this collection mechanism under any taxation statute has a 3 limbs or has a 3 phases process. Number 1, inquiry stage. Scrutiny, audit by the department, audit by the professional, inspection, search, seizure, and summons. All these are inquiry proceedings. You can say fact finding or information gathering exercise. That's it. As far as objective is concerned, scrutiny and search are same. Powers are different. Objectives are same. Search cannot be converted into adjudication. So precisely, whatever type of proceedings are going on in nature of inquiry, there cannot be any adjudication. No one can force you to pay. So what happened? First stage is inquiry. Second stage is adjudication. Third stage is recovery. So once inquiry is there, inquiry means, let me repeat, scrutiny, summons, audit by department, professional, inspection, search and seizure. Once it has happened, and after this, officers are of the view, concerned officer is of the view that taxpayer has not paid, short paid the taxes, wrongly availed or utilized input tax credit, erroneous refund has been granted to him. In that case, they can proceed for the adjudication, assessment. And once the assessment is done, thereafter recovery comes into picture. And assessment procedure itself has a long drawn process. If you'll refer subsection 9 of section 73 or section 74, similarly worded, they clearly say this is what the adjudication. This is what the adjudication, or you may term it as an assessment as well. If you read the definition of the assessment as provided in the statute, that is a determination of the taxes, and this is what we are doing here. Section 74 specifically says, after consideration of the representation of the PA or the PH, the concerned officer, the proper officer, shall determine the amount of tax, interest, and penalty due, and then he shall pass the order. And on that day, amount will become due. That means once the inquiry is over, adjudication starts. Please mind, adjudication cannot be there pre-inquiry. Similarly, once adjudication over, after that recovery comes into play. Recovery cannot precede adjudication or the inquiry. And please mind and make a note of section 78, which clearly says the recovery proceedings comes into play when the taxpayer has not paid the taxes, taxpayer has not paid the amount as determined within 3 months from the date of the service of the such order. That means once the such order is passed, it is served, and 3 months has passed. Thereafter, only recovery mechanism, that means forceful recovery, can be there, not before that. So legally, first of all, the picture is clear. Search is an inquiry proceeding. There is a specific mandate in the search that you go search the document and seize them. That's it. Not more than this. You cannot adjudicate the case. Whatever inquiry is being there, once inquiry is completed, adjudication will start, and after adjudication only recovery can be there. Before that, no tax can be called for the payment. Let me share a couple of judgments with you. Very, very important judgments with you. That's a Dabur India Limited is a very landmark judgment. Dabur India Limited, what happened in this particular case? This is not a case of the direct of the GST. It is an earlier case of the excise duty of on the medicinal preparation, if you can recollect that. In that case, what happened? Precisely, the Supreme Court had came heavily on the department. Why so? What happened? A license was used to be given by the department to the taxpayer for his businesses. Just like you can correlate or understand in the manner that, see, if you remember that we were obtaining C forms, F form, etc., for issuing to our vendors or maybe the suppliers under the VAT regime or the sales tax regime. So similarly, some licenses were being issued by the department for the business purposes. And what happened of this Dabur India Limited? There was a demand, and the departmental authorities has refused to give the these particular licenses for non-payment of the demand. Since the demand is outstanding, so you are not supposed, they will not give you the licenses. So on this, the Supreme Court came very heavily, and they have specifically said that we would not like to hear from a litigant in this country that the government is coercing citizens of this country to make payment, which the litigant is contending not to be leviable. Please mind this word. Supreme Court has not said, is it payable or not? Is it leviable or not? What they said is, which the litigant is contesting not to be leviable. That means taxpayer has a view that it is exempted. Department is having a view that it is taxable. Okay, in that case, you cannot force. In that case, you cannot force the recovery. This is what sum and substance. Similarly, what happens in case of Century Metal Recycling versus Union of India? What happened here is, in the GST also, we have a system of voluntary payments. Whenever these such officers are there, they force for the payment, and then on their front, rather most of them, they on their own gets a login ID and password from the taxpayer, file the DRC, and option is being opted as a 74.5. That means voluntary payment. Not even the 73.5. Always they opt for 74.5. Now the question is, when the payment or part payment has been done in between, can it be said to be voluntary? Can it be said to be voluntary? This was the question. So in this case, Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court came beautifully. They specifically says, whatever be the position, unless there is an assessment and demand, the amount deposited by the petition cannot be appropriated. No justification has been shown for retaining the amount deposited, except saying that since it was voluntary deposit, the only argument by the department was it was voluntary deposited. So that is why Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court has specifically ordered to give the refund, to refund the amount which was being recovered. This was in the Century Metal Recycling by the Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court. Government of India has filed the appeal against this particular order. SLP has been filed, but that has been rejected by the Supreme Court. So this got finality. So this is what the pre-GST is. Now let us come to some of the judgments under the GST law. Bhumi Associates versus Union of India from the Gujarat High Court. This was I won't enter into the facts of the cases because they were somewhat horrible kind of thing. But anyways, kind of camp office has been made by the department on a regular basis. They were visiting the premises of the taxpayer, which is actually not intended in the law. We have already seen legal provision says you go search what is secreted and seize them and come back. That's it. This is what a mandate under the GST law as far as searches are concerned. Now, what happened in this particular, the Honorable High Court has given the direction to the central board. They said, okay, you have to form a specific guidelines or instructions or the circular, and they have precisely given the 4 kind of orders are being given. In one order, they said 4 things. Number 1, no recovery by any mode during proceeding under section 67 should be there. 67 comes into brought in 67 is basically 1 inspection, 67 2 search. That means for both, when the inspection is going on, when the search is going on, recovery cannot be done. This is what has been emphasized by the Gujarat High Court. Second, they have said to CBIC to make an instruction in such a manner that even if someone wants to make a voluntary payment during an inspection or search, then also officer should suggest the taxpayer to pay on a next day. That means they leave the premises on the next day of that, not during the proceedings. And actually what happens, we all know. What actually happens, we all know. They come with a target only. Then the third direction was you maintain a facility of a complaint or a grievance redressal portal kind of thing. Once the search has happened, then there should be a facility so that a person can file a complaint or a grievance. And the fourth one is, if there is a violation, then strict disciplinary action against the officer should be there. This is what the order has been passed by the Honorable Gujarat High Court. Gujarat High Court passed this order in February 2021, and even after more than 13 or 14 months, nothing has been done from the board side. However, all of a sudden we have seen on 25th May 2022, last month only, an instruction has been given by the CBIC. Why so late? I don't know. I can just say that from the informal sources, what we have heard is I have had discussion and get to know that since no order was passed, contempt was under process or maybe was supposed to be initiated, then these instructions came up. Anyways, whatever be the reason. But finally, if we go through this particular instruction, please mind and read that it looks like CBIC भी कोई राजी नहीं है जिस तरीके से गुजरात हाई कोर्ट ने ऑर्डर पास किया था उस तरीके से बात करने का. Rather, somehow they just फॉर्मेलिटी जिस तरीके से पूरी की जाती है वो किया गया, इंस्ट्रक्शन इश्यू कर दिए गए और घूम फिर के ऑफिसर्स के कंडक्ट को जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश की गई. दिस इज व्हाट आई अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम these instructions. What they said is, some taxpayers after voluntary depositing alleges use of force and coercion by the officers. What the CBIC is saying? Taxpayer pays the taxes in one voluntary basis and then they complain that there is a force or coercion by the officers are there. That means they have assumed that there is a voluntary payment. Secondly, voluntary payments done by taxpayer only by using login credentials. That means when you are going to file the DRC-03, it is being filed after your login only. अब ये किसको बेवकूफ बनाने की बात है? कौन नहीं जानता इस बात को कि फोर्सफुली लॉगिन आईडी पासवर्ड लिए जाते हैं उस टाइम ड्यूरिंग सर्च. Then they say voluntary payments during the proceedings are permissible before issue of the SCN. And why it is permitted? Because it may save the taxpayer from higher penalty. How come it make any difference that during the proceedings or maybe on the next day of the proceeding the same is being paid? There is no difference in the penalty, because it's not possible that on the day on the very next day of the search, virtually it is impossible that you will get a show cause. And pre-show cause all penalties are same. It is after issue of the show cause that penalty quantum gets changed under section 74. Instead of 15%, it will be 25%. Then fourth, they reiterate the legal position. Yes, recovery of the taxes can be made only after the adjudication order is passed. Everyone knows it. Law has its own. In law it is clearly written Then they said, but law doesn't stop taxpayer to pay the tax liability voluntarily as ascertained by whom. So it's just like a jalebi bhai. Jalebi बना दिया है चीजों को घुमा घुमा के. Formality पूरी करने के चक्कर में भाई, you all know that there is a settled procedure. First inquiry, then adjudication, then recovery. Why can't you say this in clear terms? That okay, no recovery during the proceedings. Chapter ends. इतना घुमाने की कहां जरूरत है? जबरदस्ती चीजों को लेजिटिमाइज किया जा रहा है जो गलत एक्शन है उनको. I have a very strong observation on this particular instruction. जहां गवर्नमेंट को लिटिगेशन कम करना चाहिए था, टैक्स पेयर को रिलीफ देना चाहिए था, हैरेसमेंट कम से कम हो सके, वहां पर मुझे लगता है ये क्लैरिफिकेशन ये के नाम के ऊपर, इट इज नथिंग बट लेजिटिमाइजिंग द इलीगल एक्ट्स ऑफ द ऑफिसर्स. You know, it is not permissible during the proceedings that they can use the force, they can recover the amount, but they comes with a target. This much we are supposed to be deposited. It is not permissible, Baba. But before I go to any of the judgments, any more judgments on this particular issue, let me remind. See, whatever instruction, whatever circular, whatever clarification is given by the board, or not only board, rather government, let it be state government, let it be central government, these cannot be treated as a legal provisions. Please note, there are plethora of judgments whereby Honorable Supreme Court has in crystal clear terms said that circulars are not the law. Circulars cannot be the law. In case of Bengal Iron Corporation versus Commercial Taxes Officer, para 18. Let me quote that. Honorable Supreme Court has crystal clear said that clarification or circular issued by the state government or the central government are merely their understanding of the legal provisions. Meaning thereby they are not the law. This is what they are understanding. They are not binding on the court. So one has to understand how the instruction and circular are useful. In so many cases, we all know that circular, if beneficial, you use it, otherwise go by the law. This is what a correct course of action, I would say. Now with this, let me cover a couple of cases very quickly. Nandi Dal Mills. I must say that very first detailed order. Again, the same case which we were taking example, one atta mill or a flour mill. He was of the taxpayer was of the opinion that his products are exempted. One department was of the opinion no, the products is taxable. Search conducted. During the search, what happened as per estimate of the officer? I'm saying estimate, not even the complete determination. As per estimate of the officers, they have calculated the tax liability of approximately 7 crore something, maybe 7.5 crore something. And they have taken an undertaking from the taxpayer that he will pay this amount in 8 installments, 1 crore, 1 crore, 1 crore, 7 installments of 1 crore each, and last installment for the balance amount. 1 crore amount has been paid during the search itself, and after 1 week of the search, the remaining amount of 1 crore was also being paid. After this only, the taxpayer said that this was not with free will, and reached before the Honorable Madras High Court. And Madras High Court also followed the similar analogy which I discussed in the Century case, Punjab and Haryana High Court, as it specifically said that just because he has filed a statement under section 74 subsection 5, you cannot say that it is a voluntary. Taxpayer is ready to get SCN. You issue the SCN. You issue the SCN to him. He is ready to get the case adjudicated. You adjudicate the case, make the demand on a regular course of action. You don't have any locus to retain the amount. And accordingly, Honorable Madras High Court has again ordered for the refunding of the amount which was recovered during which was recovered or paid by whatever way it is being said. They have said you don't have any locus to retain this amount. And they have ordered to refund this particular amount. Now, what happened immediately after this? In 2021 itself, there was a different allegation and the search was being made. I am taking this case because the facts are different. In first case, Nandidal, the allegation was that you have not paid the taxes on and declaring it as an exempted supply. Now the second facts whereby so many notices are being given or the searches are being made on this particular scenario. That wrong availment of ITC. First of all, my humble opinion, just because there is a wrong availment of ITC in the opinion of the proper officer, it cannot be the reason for authorization of the search. Nonetheless, let us assume that it has happened now and the amount has been recovered. Now what happened? In these particular facts, this case, deemed distributor is of very important. What happened in this particular case? Approximately 1.5 crore tax liability was determined. Approximately an estimation was being made that you have availed this much of the wrongful credit. During the proceeding, 35 lakh rupees has been deposited. Then this taxpayer reached before the Honorable High Court. High Court has specifically observed that this is what the procedure. First inquiry, then adjudication, then recovery. Before that, you cannot even advise the taxpayer. It is the taxpayer who has to calculate and who has to deposit. If you don't agree with it, go issue the notice, complete the adjudication process and make the demand. How come you can just advise him by, okay, you just deposit this much of the amount? No, it is not permissible. And you must recollect some WhatsApp message at that particular point of time, August 2021. They have given this statement that if you are recovering the money first, then you will be putting up cart before the horse. Then this system will collapse actually. It is not possible. This ecosystem will not work. So definitely the process has to be like this. Then first investigation or inquiry, then adjudication, then recovery. You cannot just first recover it and then make inquiry or then make maybe adjudication. So that's not permissible within the eyes of the law. This is what the Telangana High Court. Then this Bundle Technologies judgment from the Honorable Karnataka High Court came in 2021 itself. If I'm not wrong, September 2021. Again, very beautiful judgment. But the government, this was a judgment of the Karnataka High Court of the single bench. Government filed the appeal before the DB in the Karnataka High Court itself. In March, DB judgment was pronounced. And I must say it was a very detailed judgment. And precisely whatever we have discussed till now has been captured in this particular judgment. They have discussed Article 265 of the Constitution of India. They have said, okay, collection of the taxes has to be by the authority of law. You cannot go on their own. And what collection of authority is? You cannot recover the amount before it is payable as per section 79. First of all, you will have to determine by adjudication process, that is 73, 74 are there. You will have to first determine it. And then you will have to pass the order. Once the order is passed, then only this amount is payable, not before this. And the moment you are forcefully recovering it, you are violating provisions of Article 300A as well. What is 300A? Right to property. How come you can take others' property until unless there is an amount which is being payable? So this is what the judgment whereby the Honorable Double Bench, DB, Division Bench of the High Court has rejected the appeal of the department and has specifically ruled in favor of the assessee and approved the order whereby the refund was granted for the amount which was being forcefully deposited during the investigation proceedings. Now, see, one practical issue comes that because see what happens at the time of search, when search is going on, most of the time assessee department officer comes with a particular mindset that this much of the amount we will have to recover. It is a kind of target. This is a kind of target being given to the officers that we will get up from here or once this kind of amount is being paid. Excuse me. Now, what I have seen is, or what I have advised to a couple of clients as well at that point of time, because see, when amount is not there in the bank account, if amount is there, they will definitely make the pressure and get that amount, deposit online. But issue comes when, okay, maybe a person gets commitment, okay, I will pay this amount, and they issue the post-dated checks as well. Okay, that this much of the amount will pay to the department. Maybe just like a case of Nandi Dalgram. Let us assume that the assessee gives a text post-dated 7 checks of 1 crore rupees each. What's going to happen? Let us assume if someone doesn't honor those checks, what happened? In my humble opinion, section 138 at least of the NI Act doesn't apply. Check bouncing case cannot survive because 138 lies only and only in the case when the amount is payable, and amount is not payable in this case until unless determined. This aspect has been observed by the Honorable Gujarat High Court as well in case of Atul Motors. So that may be useful for maybe for any of the practice aspect. I'm coming to some of the other aspects. Maybe I'll stop here because multiple, I think, hand raises are there in between. So I'll stop my deliberation at 10 minutes before 6. So then I will take some questions. Coming to the seizure. Quickly, I'll just touch upon the other aspects. See, seizure of cash. Again, the provisions are very much in front of you, whereby we have seen that when the proper officer has reason to believe that goods liable for confiscation, document, books or things are secreted in any place, the concerned of the proper officer may authorize the other officer to search and seize. Search and seize. What will be the subject matter of seizure? Goods, documents, books or things. Nothing else can be seized. Nothing else can be seized. So precisely, if something comes within the domain of these 4 items, then only seizure can be there, not otherwise. This is what we can understand from the legal position. What can be the subject matter of the seizure? Goods liable for confiscation, any document, books or things, not otherwise, and which are relevant for the proceedings, not otherwise. Now the question is, can we say cash comes within the ambit of any of these 4? This question was whether the cash was seized was before the Honorable Madhya Pradesh High Court in case of Kanishka Mata, whereby the Honorable High Court has approved the seizure of the cash in August 2020, where they said, okay, the seizure is valid in this particular scenario in GST law. Facts were like there was an admission that this search is the cash is being generated from the clandestine removal. This kind of facts were there, whereby this particular judgment was passed. With all due regard to the Honorable Madhya Pradesh High Court, I'm having a bit different opinion, and reason I'm just going to discuss or describe it to you. See, barring this particular judgment, let us analyze the legal provisions. So we can say there are only 4 things which can be 4 items which can be subject matter of the GST seizure under the procedure 67(2) of the GST law. First of all, goods liable for confiscation. Number 2, documents. Number 3, books. Number 3, things. So can cash be said to be a goods? Cash is a money, and even the definition of the goods given in section 2 subsection 52 is very specific, and money is out of the cash. Number 1. Number 2, can we say it to be a document? In my humble opinion, no. Can we say it to be a books? In my humble opinion, no. And I believe should not be more argument. If we go to the dictionary meaning of these words, so then also it's clear that cash cannot cover it. The remaining or remainder remains is things. Can it be said to be a thing? Can cash be said to be a thing? कोई चीज, कोई वस्तु, क्या उसको कहा जा सकता है? See, when I tried to just analyze the dictionary, it was very difficult to find the meaning of the thing as well. So thing was very, after going through with 8 to 10 dictionary, I got to know these only two whereby it was defined. How it was defined, thing was in the Oxford, it was like an object that one need not, cannot, does not, or wish to give a specific name to. These were the dictionary meanings. Not very much clear, but these were the dictionary meaning. And in the Oxford legal, it was defined in the form of a word chose, not directly thing. So it said that thing in possession is a tangible item capable of being actually possessed and enjoyed. जिसको कि actually possess किया जाता है और enjoy किया जा सकता है, जिसका कि enjoy किया जा सकता है possession में और उसका enjoyment हो सकता हो. I don't know whether it cash fits into this particular preposition or not, but these are the dictionary meaning just for references. I am of the view that for most of the persons, cash cannot be enjoyed. Rather, a service or goods which are being procured by the cash are being enjoyed. Maybe a different, we are human being, we may have a different thinking about it. Someone may have a good feeling or maybe enjoyment of the cash keeping in pocket as well. But some way, when this is what my view, but when I compare it with the different statutory provisions, see, let us refer section 132(1)(3) of the income tax law, perimeteria provisions with some differences. What is the difference? Seizure in the income tax law says, seize any books of accounts, other documents, money, etc. This. And then it says, or things found as a result of such. Meaning thereby, under the income tax law, they are using the word thing as well, and simultaneously they are using the word money also. Meaning thereby, or I can understand this manner that if money is being included in the thing, probably it was not required to be mentioned here. So that is why one can take one reference from here. Now let us analyze custom law, which is very, very relevant. And if you'll compare, so many provisions under the GST law has been brought from the custom, more specifically in relation to collection aspect, search, seizure, collection aspect. So many things are, so many provisions are brought from the customs law. Please refer definition of the section, section 110 subsection 3 of the customs law, which says the proper officer may seize any documents or things which in his opinion will be useful for or relevant to any proceedings under this act. This is what the Customs Act. Again, the Customs Act is also using the word things. What they are saying, documents or things. Now refer the definition of the goods, though the goods are not being described here. Even then, please refer the definition of the term goods under the customs law, whereby the goods definition specifically includes currency and negotiable instruments. If we refer to the customs law, the specific inclusion is there that currency and negotiable instruments are included in the definition of the goods. And what is the GST law? GST law specifically excludes money. Fine. Now let us refer judgment of AM overseas versus Union of India in case of Gujarat High Court. What happened? They have analyzed all these provisions under the customs law. They have, in fact, when the custom authorities seize the bank account or the cash, the money of the taxpayer, they refer this particular clause, currency negotiable instruments. They have specifically said, even in the customs law, one need to understand that these terms are being referred in respect of the currencies when they are being subject matter of the import, not otherwise. That means otherwise it cannot be seized. From there, I believe, maybe with all due regards to judgment of the Kanishka Mata, I think there will be a very good scope to say that cash cannot be seized. One more reason for it. See, When the cash is being seized from the party, from the taxpayer, what is going to happen? Because department cannot appropriate this amount against the liability. Otherwise, it will be treated as recovery. Recovery cannot happen, number one. Number two, this seizure of the cash will nothing be but a kind of provisional attachment, because this is a money. Money can directly be applied to the demand. So it will be nothing but a like of a provisional attachment of the property. If it is so, the permission of the commissioner is required as per section 83. Today, it is there in the agenda, but I'm not going to cover that because of paucity of demand, the time, the provisional attachment aspect. But if, please mind, what happens if I'm going to treat it like this? In that case, it will be nothing but a provisional attachment of the property, which is not mandate of the law. Summons and admission in the statement will be less time, will be time consuming, so I'm leaving it. Quickly, I'm referring a couple of things. One is presence of advocate during interrogation. What happens? Many a times situations are there when taxpayer want their counsel should be there with them. Question is whether when you are going for, maybe one first can be when the search is going on, whether any counsel can go there, number one. Number two, more importantly, when the summons are there, whether counsel can go. See, on first, when the search is going on, I always advise, and what I practice is, I always say to my colleagues, professionals, that you should refrain from going there, because otherwise unnecessarily you are going to witness the things maybe which you can otherwise advise to the client could not be advised. Anyways, so at that, if the search is ongoing, my advice would be the professional or the chartered accountant or the advocate should not go there. One. Number two, as far as summons are concerned, what happened? Law is settled. Law is crystal clear. The taxpayer can be accompanied by the counsel with the viewing distance, but sitting as far like so that he cannot hear anything. This is what a settled preposition. I'll just show you a couple of judgments. You can note down these 4 or 5 judgments are there on the screen, which clearly says, or in which clearly the court has ordered that counsel can accompany them within the visible range, but he has to sit out of the hearing range. Now, what happened most of the time when you go to the authority, they will probably not permit, but if you want that someone should be in this present, you can refer these judgments and take a shelter from the jurisdictional high court and get the similar order. This will be easily available. As far as other aspects are concerned, like loose paper relevance of the loose papers. See, many a time what happens, loose papers are being seized from the particular during the search proceedings. See, I will just refer one of the judgments because time is not there. I'm not going to take it in detail, but I will advise everyone to go through the judgment of the Vidyacharan Shukla. Very, very famous judgment. A diary judgment, if one can recollect. So please mind, until unless it is proved that those loose documents cannot be treated as a books of accounts and cannot be treated as a evidence. There may be some incrementing documents so that one can maybe officer usko jariya bana sakta hai document tak pahunchega, but sole on the basis of loose document, no addition will survive. So I will advise at this stage to go to the judgment of Honorable Supreme Court in case of Vidyacharan Shukla. So I think with this, we can take a break for the questions. So many things are there, but as I said initially, it is not possible to cover this much vast topic in maybe 1.5 or 2 hours time. Maybe sometime whole day's program can be kept on it, and then we can discuss this consequential search or maybe some admission in the statement. Some different aspects I will cover if some queries are there in relation to it. Yes. Over from my side.
Thank you so much, sir. If you have any query, you may ask now. If anybody has any query.
You can raise your hand for ask any query. शिवम जी, आपके पास थोड़ी आई कोई चैट के ऊपर या क्वेरी सेशन के अंदर कोई?
नहीं सर, कोई क्वेरी नहीं है।
बीच बीच में हैंड रेजेस बहुत सारे आ रहे थे।
हाँ एग्जैक्टली वही अब टेक्निकल टीम अगर किसी का रेज हैंड हो तो प्लीज आप उनको अलाउ कर दें।
अरे जतिन सर ने इतना तो समझाया, शायद किसी को कोई क्वेरी है नहीं अभी।
बात तो ये भी ठीक है।
दोनों मीनिंग निकलते हैं उसके।
किसी ने कहा प्लीज शेयर द पीपीटी।
पीपीटी सीआईआरसी वेबसाइट पे हम अपलोड कर देंगे, तो कर देंगे। संजीव जी की क्वेरी का आंसर पेंडिंग है।
ओके फाइन, आई थिंक अभी कुछ आना स्टार्ट हो गए हैं क्वेरीज। ओके फाइन।
हाँ
See, what happens initially I discussed when it is right to authorize a particular search or not. जैसे कि कुछ एग्जांपल दिए, लाइक ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट गलत ले रखा है ऑफिसर्स की ओपिनियन में, जैसे कि रेट ऑफ टैक्स का डिफरेंस है। इन माय हम्बल ओपिनियन सर्च कैन नॉट बी ऑथराइज फॉर इट, बिकॉज सर्च का मैंडेट क्या है। अब इसको हम जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल आर्टिकल रेड विद जीएसटी का जो प्रोविजन है वो पकड़ना पड़ेगा। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन सेज कि ये आपके फंडामेंटल राइट्स है, दीज कैन नॉट बी कॉम्प्रोमाइज। एंड प्लीज रेफर द जजमेंट ऑफ ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन केस ऑफ सेठ ब्रदर्स, दिस इज अंडर द इनकम टैक्स लॉ, and the very recent judgment from the Delhi High Court in case of RJ Trading. They specifically says that search is an intrusion in the privacy. Fine. That means it is a breach of fundamental rights. Fine. Now this fundamental right can be breached with the authority of law only, meaning thereby it cannot be breached otherwise. So you have made the breach of the fundamental right. Now it has to be examined whether it was as per law or not. Law says कि सर्च कब ऑथराइज हो सकती है, जब कोई डॉक्यूमेंट, गुड्स, थिंग्स प्रॉपर ऑफिसर की ओपिनियन में सीक्रेटेड हैं, विच आर अदरवाइज यूजफुल, देन ही कैन ऑथराइज गो सर्च एंड सीज देम, दैट्स इट। सो जब टैक्स रेट का कोई डिफरेंस है, क्लासिफिकेशन का कोई इशू है, खाली क्रेडिट अवेलमेंट की कोई बात है कि भाई ये लीगली, व्हेन देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ लॉ टू बी वेरी प्रिसाइजली, तो क्या हम ये कह सकते हैं कि कोई भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स गुड सीज्ड है? आंसर इज एब्सोल्युटली नो। इट इज अ मैटर ऑफ ओपिनियन। इट कैन नॉट बी सेड दैट वहां पर कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्स, गुड्स या थिंग्स छुपे हुए हैं, ऐसा कोई केस ही नहीं। केस क्या है कि ओपिनियन क्या है कि लेट अस अज्यूम, मैं आपको कई और कुछ एक केसेस बताता हूं इन दिनों में जो रिसेंट सर्चेस हुए हैं। व्हाट हैपेंड, फिल्म डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स। अब फिल्म डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स की सर्विसेज के ऊपर 12% लगेगा या 18% लगेगा, ये एक इशू है। Bombay Commissionerate has given a trade notice. No, it should be 18%, whereby all the distributors are levying 12%. The department started raiding them. छापे मारना शुरू कर दिया। अरे भाई उस छापा क्यों मारा पहले ये पता है। Just because there is a opinion within the department कि आपके पास 18% रेट है जबकि असेसी 12% लग रहा है, तो इसमें ऐसा कौन सा डॉक्यूमेंट है जो कि सर्च मारने से नया मिल जाएगा? ऐसा कौन सी चीज है जो उसने छुपा के रखी हुई है? असेसी चौड़े में कह रहा है कि मैं 12% दे रहा हूं, उसकी ओपिनियन 12% है, डिपार्टमेंट का 18%। ओके, यू गिव द इश्यू नोटिस, यू आस्क व्हाटएवर डॉक्यूमेंट्स यू वांट, असेसी विल गिव इट टू यू। सिमिलरली ये जो फ्लावर मिल वाला जो हमने केस देखा, ये हुआ ही है। रिसेंटली व्हाट हैपेंड, ऑटोमोबाइल के कुछ एक पार्ट्स होते हैं, ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री के कुछ एक पार्ट्स होते हैं, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टाइप के पार्ट्स हैं। नो व्हाट हैपेंड, डिपार्टमेंट इज ऑफ द व्यू कि 28% लगना चाहिए, असेसी इज ऑफ द व्यू 18% लगना चाहिए। देयर इज अ सम रेट चेंज विद इफेक्ट फ्रॉम 1 जनवरी 2019। There's a dispute of classification. अरे भाई इसमें सर्च करके करोगे क्या? अब डिपार्टमेंट उनको सर्च कर रहा है, सर्च करने से क्या होगा? क्या वहां पर क्या हम ये कह सकते हैं कि प्रॉपर ऑफिसर ने रीजन टू बिलीव रिकॉर्ड किए हैं कि ये वाली चीज छुपी हुई है? उसमें कुछ छुपाने का है ही नहीं। दिस ऑटो पार्ट इज देयर। I don't want to specify or name the auto parts or particular items, so otherwise वो client reveal होते हैं। So let us say X part is there. There is no doubt, facts are clear. Department is not raising the doubts on the facts. Okay, you are selling this part. Correct, I am selling this part. When factual aspect is clear, what is the need of the search? So इस particular point के ऊपर ये करना चाहिए. If you think that search is not being properly authorized, then that means there is a violation of the fundamental rights without following the legal provisions. Then search can be challenged. This is what we are doing. Even when the search has happened, even before any kind of adjudication, we are challenging the search. That search is not correct. It is violation. It is after violation. It is violation of the fundamental right without adhering the legal provisions. Intrusion in the privacy without adhering to the legal provisions. That is why search should be quashed. RJ Trading recent judgment from the Delhi High Court. You can see that. I hope this way you can correlate them. Sanjeev ji ki query ka. Next is, I think I'm getting a question from Sachin Mahesh. Sir, can the proper officer go beyond the initial reason to believe and do a detailed scrutiny by way of summons after an inspection? Yes. There is no bar. Sachin ji ka question hai ki, let us say there was an inspection or search was authorized. It has happened. Then the department got some document, maybe which the department was not expecting. They got some other incriminating material, and on the basis of that the summons are being issued. Yes, definitely the department can do that, no doubt about it. Next question is Ruchir Baheti ji. Sir, is the personal attendance of a director mandatory in a summon, although he is not aware of the GST provisions and his accountant can go for presenting the case further for a given issue? The taxpayer is willing to deposit the same with applicable interest and penalty. Yet also, is it mandatory for the CEO, director, proprietor to appear personally and tender a statement? See, अभी मैं इसमें कहूंगा कि यहाँ पर हमारे डिपार्टमेंट ऑफिसर्स नॉर्मली adhered नहीं है how the summons should be issued and why the summons should be issued. But even summons carries more weightage. So समन की जो जहां तक बात है कि समन के ऊपर यस जिसको बुलाया है उसका जाना जरूरी है, बट एज यू हैव राइटली पॉइंटेड आउट कि भाई डायरेक्टर जाके करेगा क्या, कुछ पता ही नहीं है. See, which are against that. But what should be the proper course of action for a professional or for you to advise him? Best way out is that whenever the summon is there in the name of director or maybe a senior person, you may respond to that summon. Normally what happens is someone they write at the first point to tender a statement, then they write that these documents or informations are required, assuming the same situation. I will always advise that one should not skip that. You please respond that with all the documents which they are requiring, and then intimate this very aspect that the director or the CEO or the CFO, whosoever the concerned person, you are saying director here in this particular scenario, that okay, director specifically intimates that director is not involved in a routine or day-to-day affairs of the business or maybe finance or accounting affairs of the company, and are not well versed with the GST provisions or what the company is doing as far as GST is concerned. And please mention that this is the concerned person who does this thing. This is the concerned person who does this thing. That means so and so is the concerned person who is responsible for the all affairs in relation to GST, filing GST return, taking correct position, decision, etc., etc. And accordingly request the concerned person that okay, instead of director, you may take the statement of this fellow. That's the best case you can do. And if you are doing so, the proper course for the officer would be to call that concerned person, not to the director. You may refer the judgment of Sunil Devda from the Jharkhand High Court. That will be helpful for you in this particular situations. Yes. Any other one? I think there was one hand raised. Dropped now. One attendee, Sunil Kumar Agrawal ji. Yes, sir. Boliye. Sunil Agrawal ji, please boliye.
टेक्निकल टीम सुनील जी को एक बार आप अलाउ कर दें। सुनील जी म्यूट पे हैं, आप अनम्यूट करके बोलें।
हेलो।
Yes, yes, we can hear you now.
सर आई एम जस्ट मैं अभी एक मतलब रिसेंट क्वेरी देखी। मैंने अप्रैल में एक रिटर्न फाइल की थी GSTR 1।
Okay.
उसमें जो CN मैंने अपलोड किए पार्टी के, उसमें मेरी वैल्यू थी टैक्सेबल वैल्यू थी 4,800, बट GST पोर्टल पे तो वो सेम अमाउंट दिखा रहा है।
आपका आवाज कट गया है, दोबारा बोलिएगा। आपने कोई क्रेडिट नोट अपलोड किया, फिर
सिस्टम पे उसकी वैल्यू थी 4,800।
ओके।
But now on government portal it is showing only note value 24,400.
Okay.
So there is a difference between taxable value and note value, and party is the issue that you have issued CN for rupees 5,000. So what can be the reason, sir?
अरे सर, इसका ये प्रोसीजरल एस्पेक्ट मुझे नहीं पता होंगे सर।
Okay.
I don't deal in this filing of the returns and all these portal issues. I don't deal only with the legal issues.
Okay, sir, no problem. ठीक, थैंक यू सर।
वजह से क्या डिपार्टमेंट का कोई एक्शन हो गया क्या आपके ऊपर? आप तो ये बताएं मुझे।
डिपार्टमेंटल का एक्शन नहीं हुआ, पार्टी इशू रेज कर रही है कि भाई मेरा जो आपने अकाउंट में जो दिया है मेरे को CN, वो 5,800 का है, और मेरे को आप जो सिस्टम में वैल्यू शो कर रही है वो 2,400।
मैं रिटर्न्स वगैरह नहीं फाइल करता हूँ, सो
नो प्रॉब्लम, नो प्रॉब्लम, थैंक यू, थैंक यू सर।
Any other query, sir? ठीक है सर, आज का सेशन अपन यही कंप्लीट करते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच जतिन हरजाई सर। आई वुड लाइक टू कॉल सी अनिल कुमार यादव सर टू गिव वोट ऑफ थैंक्स टू।
थैंक यू सो मच शिवम जी। थैंक यू सो मच जतिन सर। आपका इतना बिजी शेड्यूल रहता है कि मैं जयपुर में रहता हूँ, आपसे बात करना, आपसे मिलना ही बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है हमारे लिए, बट आपने सब मेंबर्स के लिए, CIRC मेंबर्स के लिए जो आपने टाइम निकाला है, रियली सर, रियली थैंक यू सो मच। और मेरे पास बहुत मैसेज भी आए हैं और कई कॉल भी आ रहे थे, सर जतिन सर का सेशन है, जतिन सर आएंगे ना? अरे हाँ बिल्कुल आएंगे, जतिन सर आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि जतिन जी की बहुत डिमांड है सर। तो थैंक यू सो मच, जो आपकी हमेशा अवेलेबिलिटी रहती है मेंबर्स के लिए, वो रियली सर, वी ऑल आर रियली हाईली ऑब्लाइज्ड। थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू शिवम, थैंक यू सो मच प्रोग्राम्स को नाइसली मॉडरेट करने के लिए। और मैं कहना चाहूंगा सर, आगे भी हम आपको ऐसे ही परेशान करते रहेंगे, तो प्लीज सर आप हमें परेशान करते रहने दीजिए सर।
Anil ji, it's my pleasure always to share whatever I know with all the members, and thanks actually really to you for inviting me here so that I could share some of my thoughts with the members. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you Shivam.
Thank you so much.